And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
And now I want to sit back and relax and enjoy my evening. When all of a sudden, I hear this agitating, grating voice.
The amount of sloppy, rage-baity content I've seen about Rachel Zegler over the past month has been jarring and unhinged at the least. Honestly, as a fan of Rachel and her work, I've been in the trenches because everyone is coming for her right now. And at a rate that is preposterous and honestly deranged. Rachel Zegler said some regrettable things in a couple of interviews leading up to the release of the new Snow White movie. And since it's been over a year since those videos got torn up by literally everyone and their mom, I thought I should revisit it because the movie's out and I need to get this out of my system. Before we even get into the nitty grit, I want to put my hands up and say, I hate to see a Disney live action coming. I really do. I recently watched the Lilo and Stitch live action movie trailer and it actually gave me hives. I also feel like I've watched my fair share of Disney live action movies. Yeah, I know, joke's on me, har har. Like Beauty and the Beast, did not like it at all. The Little Mermaid, fell asleep in the theater. Mulan, no thank you. The only movie I liked, absolutely loved and sets my heart ablaze is the Cinderella live action. That is unbeatable. Anyway, back to my point. I don't care for a Disney live action, so when I found out that they were doing a live action Snow White, my reaction was the same as it usually is. Great. I was especially unmoved by this announcement because I didn't like the original Snow White movie, but this is exactly why I'm making this video. Snow White was not that good, or at least not good enough for the amount of flack that Rachel is getting. It's been a while since I've sat down and watched the original Snow White movie, and I'll tell you why. Because it was creepy. All right, Rachel, get behind me, okay? For all of the things that she said in those interviews, that much is true. The original movie is really creepy. Legit, all I remember from this movie is the first scene where Snow White is at the well, and she's singing the song, I'm wishing for the one I love. And then that scary-ass prince, I'm literally getting goosebumps as I'm saying it, starts running up to her, literally prancing her way, like galloping on his horse. And then he like fucking jumps up behind her near the oh.
Did I frighten you?
It especially doesn't help that Snow White is supposed to be 14 and the prince is 31 years old. Excuse me? I mean, I've seen people say online that he can very possibly be 18 years old, but is that supposed to calm my nerves? Like, why isn't anyone claiming that the prince is also 14 or 15 or 16? Like 18, 31 with a 14-year-old? No, it's all awful. Granted, I'm not even sure if this is entirely true. Could be and probably is a rumor, but that also might have been what Rachel was going off of. Who knows? I personally don't watch horror movies because I won't be able to function properly for the couple weeks after I watch it, but the Uncanny Valley has always been especially indigestible for me. Considering this movie was made in the literal Stone Ages, I'm not shocked that the animation isn't excellent, but it is really creepy to look at.
Famed is thy beauty, majesty.
Powerful object in the universe.
Blah, blah, blah. Proper name, place name, backstory stuff.
Which is probably what scared Rachel watching at a young age. I can assure you that was my experience, but this isn't about me, of course.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years when I was doing this film.
That is not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
My least favorite route when critiquing something is when it immediately becomes political, unless there's an obvious explanation. I've seen countless of people try to deem what Rachel Zegler said as woke and pushing liberal ideas on a movie that has nothing to do with that. The argument is that Snow White is allowed to be soft. Sorry, supposed to be soft, actually. Which is true, like that's the entire point of her character, is that she's super kind and gentle, that even animals trust her so much. And when it comes to it, a prince will save her and whisk her away, much like every theme to every Disney princess movie ever made, and we love that format. I'm not sure why Rachel even said that Snow White is going to be independent and become the leader she always wanted to be or whatever, because that's not what the movie is about. To me, if anything, Snow White represents femininity as a strength, and it's okay to desire love. But that's just it about Rachel. What she said was wrong. But it wasn't a liberal feminist narrative on a conservative story about how ladies these days don't want to submit to their husband. Trad wife erasure. It was just a dumb comment she made, which many people do, especially when they're as young as she is. And I'm gonna hold your receding hairline when I say this, but Rachel didn't write the story. So even if that's what they were going with, how is that her fault? Also, the feminist movement has always been about encouraging women to choose for themselves, whether that be living an independent lifestyle or working for yourself, or being a stay-at-home mom or anything in between. So if Rachel was trying to push a feminist view in that context, is that so wrong? Another controversy that Rachel was a part of was when she had posted an Instagram story venting about her disappointment in the election results. She finished the paragraph by saying, "I hope Trump supporters and Trump himself never know peace." This really had people freaking out about how Rachel could wish harm on others for their political views. As someone who speaks in hyperboles when enraged, I can't help but understand where Rachel is coming from. Tensions were very high that day, and actually since that day. Sometimes when you're upset, you say things you don't mean. We all know that. Now, if she was being serious about never wanting Trump to know peace, I didn't hear anything. And if the Trump supporters and whatnot want to get political, it's my turn. Need I remind everyone of Robert Douglas Thomas Pattinson? When he was doing press for Twilight all those years ago, he too was hating on his own movie. He has countless clips of him just shitting on the Twilight series. And granted, this is Twilight we're talking about. This movie is not known for being good, but you could say the same thing about Snow White. Anyways, Robert goes on and on about how horrible he thinks his character is and how the book has a really stupid concept. This is something he gets praised for. Like, literally praised.
Did your Twilight experience turn out to be what you expected?
Oh, when I read it, it seemed like it was a book that wasn't supposed to be published. Edward was not a fictional character, you just met him in reality. You know, he's one of those guys who'd be like an axe murderer. I was convinced that Stephanie was convinced she was Bella. And especially when she says, "Oh, it was based on a dream," and it's like, "Oh, I had this dream about this really sexy guy," and she just writes this book about it. It's like, this woman is mad. If he's like, what am I doing with this kid? I'm 108 years old.
Which one of your co-workers helped to make your Twilight experience the most rewarding?
I was thinking of anything. I would say SK2 face packs.
For example, the video in which I drew this explanation from is titled "Robert Pattinson Hates Twilight," and I'll read some of the comments of the 6,000.
I'm an 108-year-old man. What am I doing with this kid? I'm very happy he acknowledged this. This woman is mad. LOL, I've read the Twilight books. He's being polite. I love how he's making fun of the movie while doing an interview about the movie. How he insulted the book series author is hilarious. Love him. Who knew Robert Pattinson was such a badass? Haha. I love his sincerity. Haha. I laughed way too hard. I've heard people say, well, if they really hated the movies, then they wouldn't have done it. Her. Well, guess what, hon? I hate the franchise just as much, but if someone waved a $12 million check in my face and asked me to make it, you better believe I'd hop right the fuck on board. How did he get away with all of this? I think we all know the answer to this.
I mean, the short answer is he's a guy, but I guess the situation's a little more nuanced than that. Twilight is an actual hated franchise. Many people dislike the movies because they are objectively bad.
Bella! Where the hell have you been, Luca?
As someone who loves Robert Pattinson and hardly knew about the Twilight franchise growing up, I have no leg to stand on because I think Robert Pattinson hating on his own movies is really funny and justifiable. But on that same front, as someone who doesn't care for the original Snow White, hearing Rachel say that the original movie is creepy and outdated is also really justifiable. You could argue that Snow White is far more celebrated than Twilight, which I guess. All I'm gonna say is that a dedicated Twilight fan versus a dedicated Snow White fan, if that even exists, is an unfair battle. The question Team Jacob or Team Edward doesn't even need to be elaborated for a stranger over the age of 16 to answer, but I truly digress. My point is that regardless of Twilight being a movie that people hate watch and has a silly plot, there are many people who actually really like the movies and are serious about enjoying the original books. There's always going to be fans in a franchise, except for cats, and what Robert Pattinson said in those interviews directly attacks anyone's positive opinions about the series. And yet, he was not met with the same amount of vitriol as Rachel was, and still to this day is praised for making fun of the Twilight series regardless of how many diehard fans there are of those movies. Now for comparison, going into a video titled Rachel Zegler hating on the Snow White movie for 2 minutes straight, practically the same title as Robert's video, only half as long. There are probably 3 clips total of Rachel talking smack about the movie, and barely at that. The other clip is praising Gal Gadot for speaking highly of the film, which actually says a bunch of nothing.
It's a beautiful story about an amazing girl who wants to find the true self of hers that is just so appealing and so special.
But even if she was saying something substantial, you can literally hear Rachel in the back agreeing with what Gal is saying. Anyways, here are the comments from the video. If she hates Snow White so much, why did she audition for the main role? She's incredibly unlikable. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's a combination of being extremely condescending and also having a massive lack of self-awareness. People claim she can't act. She clearly can. It takes a lot of skill to pretend you can tolerate Gal Gadot's company. Oh, is that Gal Gadot shade? Woke? I don't even want to be awake for this crap. Evil Queen is more hot and sexy than Snow White. What? Why would a kid ride a ride with scary in the name? Same reason you did, Rachel. Same reason kids do Halloween. It's a good scary. Like a roller coaster is supposed to be a kind of safe scary. It helps kids to begin to navigate the realms of fear and danger that they must be conditioned and prepared for to navigate life through play. These rites of passage have existed ubiquitously throughout our past. It is part of the fully explored human experience. I thought that would be evidently so, Rachel. I also thought that Snow White was kind of scary when I was a kid, but that is dumb to say as the lead of the film. Maybe don't say you're not a fan. The way she speaks about 1937 like it was a terrible time is very cringe. She could have focused on the positive. I think she shouldn't have accepted the role if she didn't like the original. I think Disney shouldn't have tried to remake it if they're not proud of the movie they made. 1937 wasn't a terrible time? Did the Great Depression mean nothing to you? I simply love when wokeism fail. I would love to have a parody Snow White movie where Terry Crews plays Snow White, or Charcoal Black, and Johnny Depp plays the evil. Kagan whoever, and make fun of this wokeism. With Trump in the chair, this is much more doable. Absolutely she hates, because she really maniac for the original cartoon. Then Disney changes it. Oh so disaster for her ass fans. Yeah. Clearly, the vast majority are people being negative towards Rachel and her sentiments. What is the difference between a Robert Pattinson saying this?
Were you happy with your pay?
I don't know. Could have been better.
And Rachel is saying this during a SAG-AFTRA strike.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
What's the difference between Robert pointing out this flaw?
He put the bare facts out. He tells her I've killed 40 or 50 people. And he's like, you really shouldn't. And I want to kill you so much. Every single day, every moment I'm with you, I desperately wanted to kill you. And she's like, I don't care. I love you. And it's like, well, there's definitely something wrong with her. And there's very obviously something wrong with me. If he's like, what am I doing with this kid? I'm 108 years old.
And Rachel pointing out this flaw in the story.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Frankly, I agree with what both actors had to say about the movies they're talking about. They were also both around the same age when these things were said, another similarity. The truth is, there is no difference between what Rachel and Robert said. People just love to hate Rachel. And also, to contradict what I just said, in Rachel's defense, she didn't even say anything nearly as bad. She thought it was weird how the prince stalked the princess, and I know that a lot of people were upset at Rachel using the word stalked, but that's literally what he did in the movie. One of the definitions of the word stalked is pursue or approach stealthily. That man was very stealthy on his horse. So stealthy that he gave me a fucking jump scare when he popped out of nowhere. Maybe there's levels to this as well. What someone will find creepy, someone else won't. But ladies and gentlemen, is it wrong to have an opinion? And then she talks about how they put a spin on the love aspect in the movie and how the prince or huntsman is not necessarily there as a love interest.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. It's
And then there's the clip of her saying Andrew Burnap, her male co-star scenes would get cut.
All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's one of those things. So true. It's an inner journey that she goes on to find her true self, and she meets a lot of people along the way that make the journey really incredible.
And then the SAG-AFTRA strike thing. So kind of harmless if you ask me. If she said even one of the things that Robert Pattinson said, like for example,
millions of Twilight fans out there just cannot wait to see this. It's very almost heartbreaking because they don't want it to be over. Yeah. It's a little bittersweet, isn't it? For them. Yeah.
If Rachel said that about Snow White and laughed hysterically afterwards, I don't even want to imagine how furious people would be towards her. And if that isn't enough for you, then here comes Jacob Nathaniel Elordi, mainly famous for his roles in Euphoria, Saltburn, and The Kissing Booth, a horrible Netflix trilogy that I have watched 10 times and counting.
I swear to God, if you laid a hand on that head,
Hey, stop! Noah, stop! Look at me! Noah, look at me!
In a video titled Jacob Elordi Hating Kissing Booth for 2 minutes straight, Jesus, there are so many of these. Jacob kind of rolls his eyes and is clearly very disinterested in what the interviewer is asking him relating to the kissing booth. This video is kind of harmless and not that serious, but there's actually an article where Jacob directly trashes the kissing booth movies, to which he says, I'm gonna try an Australian accent. I didn't want to make those movies before I made those movies. Those movies are ridiculous. They're not universal, they're an escape. I don't think he's being facetious, he's just boldly attacking the Kissing Booth movies. What he said is true, don't get me wrong, but this is coming from one of the lead actors in this movie. That's a crazy thing to say about a movie that literally put you on the map. And yet, here are some of the comments that Jacob got.
He clearly did it for the bag. As he should. I mean, he was just starting his career, but I think those movies were dumb. This was amazing. LOL. I love my man.
This is a weaker example because Jacob was met with backlash for his comments. People called him ungrateful and criticized him, but the backlash was nowhere near the amount of hate Rachel got and continues to receive. And that's exactly my point. People are doing the absolute most for harmless things that she said and for a movie that's nobody's favorite. He literally said, I didn't want to make those movies before I made those movies. That implies that he knew before he got the role, or even before he auditioned, that he didn't want to be a part of the Kissing Booth. And so I'll propose the question, why'd you audition Jacob Elordi? Well, he did it for the bag, of course. The same reason Rachel did Shazam, or the same reason why Robert Pattinson did the Twilight series. It's because they were all starting out their careers. It's a very normal thing that when you do a job, you expect to get paid. What? Only one of the three faced relentless backlash. Gee, I wonder why. Also, I just want to note that Taylor Zakar Perez rebutted Jacob's statement by saying, I guess the silver lining is that he still made people laugh and feel good. Team Marco. always. The point here is that there can only be two options. Are actors allowed to tease their own movies and make astute observations about weird concepts in the movies that they are depicting, or should they stick to their PR answers and conceal how they really feel to protect the audience's feelings? Personally, I don't mind actors trying to be humorous or even pointing out controversial plot lines and stories. It's what we do as an audience. As long as actors aren't being unnecessarily rude, cough cough, Jacob Elordi, there's really no harm. However, if people want the latter, then they should reprimand all actors who have done this equally, or else this ends up looking really weird.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
As much as I can minimize all this to just being about misogyny, I feel like there's a different and deeper reason as to why people hate Rachel so much. It's like they get off on it. Like, there are so many videos about Rachel just complaining about her, and everyone parading the fact that they aren't going to see the movie. Okay, sounds great, then don't watch it. And then when the movie doesn't do well, now they're cheering that it allegedly flopped at the box office. Like, it's endless. People are excited and starting rumors that Rachel will never get another acting job after this, which I highly doubt is true, but even if it was, who cares? Rachel is a 23-year-old girl, and most of the backlash I've seen her get are from grown adults, just dogging on her in the name of a children's princess movie made a century ago. If that sounds ridiculous, it's because it is. I think my main problem with this conversation surrounding Rachel is that I feel as though people are forging a protectiveness over a movie that no one actually cares about for the sake of hating Rachel Zegler. As far as I'm concerned, Snow White the character is celebrated, and there's nothing wrong with her, but the movie itself is just okay. I'm definitely coming from a biased view as someone who doesn't like the Snow White movie, but I've just not seen many people say that the movie itself is great. I know that there are Disney movies that are far more protected and praised because they're good movies. Like, I've watched Snow White once and that was enough for me. However, I've watched Tangled like 5 to probably 10 times because I love that movie. Like, who's checking for Snow White? No, seriously, put a finger down if Snow White is your favorite Disney movie out of the Disney princess movie franchise. If your finger's down, that's actually crazy and you're lying to me. Okay, I went on Reddit because that's where I feel people are most honest, and I checked what people are ranking the Disney princess movies, and here's what I found. Most people had Tangled, Beauty and the Beast, or Aladdin as their number one, and Snow White barely made it into anyone's top 5 movies. Now, obviously, Reddit isn't the entire world, but it is a good enough example of nobody gunning for Snow White. For everyone blaming Rachel for the movie being bad, Disney continues to underdeliver when it comes to live actions, and this is just another one to add to the long list of live actions that nobody asked for. Rachel didn't write it. She had to act alongside Gal Gadot, of all people.
You're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone.
And she has the voice of an angel. If anyone could have saved this, it would have been you, Rachel Zegler. It would have been you. I've seen a lot of people say that they don't want a live action version of Tangled or Princess and the Frog because they don't trust Disney, the original creators, with bringing those stories to life. I 100% agree, which brings me to my final point. Enough with the live actions. I've had it with you people at the Disney quarters. We as a society are going through way too much to be dealing with these live action movies. I'm tired. Cinderella 2015 was a glitch in the Matrix. It is unrepeatable at this point to make a live action with that much character. So just stop, please. But also, on that note, if a Tangled live action is ever made, I petition Milo Manheim and Meg Donnelly as the main cast. Thank you.
I think I've been a very guilty individual and hold a lot of negative feelings towards myself because of it, without acknowledging the fact that I am allowed to be 21. I am allowed to learn lessons. I want the audience to understand I'm talking about my personal life here. So if you clip this on Twitter, please include this. I'm talking about my personal life. The dumbass stuff I've done on the internet, the dumbass things I've said, I don't absolve myself from that. I'm not sitting here being like, I'm 21, please forgive me. Like, the stupid shit I've said and done is stupid shit. But I just want to say, in my personal life, I intend to move forward with a lot more grace for myself as I grow. Because I'm 21, I am a baby in the eyes of the world, and I need to understand that there is a lot that I don't know. And I won't know it until I learn it, until I feel it, until I understand it, until I can see it in my hands and say, I am not broken, I am just learning. My break is not my end.
All in all, I did see Rachel live in New York at Circle in the Square performing Romeo and Juliet, and she turned my world upside down. So now I feel I owe my life to her. The least I could do is spend a whole week making a video about her. I can count on my hand how many celebrities I would care to defend publicly, and that is if I had 2 fingers. I just feel the need to defend Rachel because I see myself in her. Talkative theater kid who has distinct opinions and laughs at her own jokes. We need that kind of representation. So what? She made a mistake. Did everyone forget what Hannah Montana said? Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody gets that way. Like Rachel Zegler got that way and now everybody hates her. Seriously, guys? Seriously? After the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, I cannot understand why you would hate her. I just can't compute that. The last thing I'm going to do is try and convince people to like someone, but it is unhealthy how many times I've watched Rachel's interviews during the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes press tour. She is so well spoken, she's smart, and she's so gentle with others. Hey, she would make a great Disney princess.
I feel like in line with what Josh said, you don't let other people tell you who you are. Only you can determine that, and also only you can show that to other people. Constantly people try to put you in boxes. I say this as a member of a marginalized community in Hollywood. You don't get to tell them what script you fit. You get to write the script. And that's really the most important part.
And if you're gonna say, she's only so nice because PR got to her, well then, bravo, they did an exceptional job. But I know that this is not true because Rachel has always been like this. For as much as she lets us see, she's just a regular girl who loves theater and singing. I think Rachel is a superb singer and actress, and I really do believe that Snow White is just the beginning for her and her promising career. You will never, ever, 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 ever catch me saying anything bad about Rachel Zegler. I love that girl. I think the hate that she has received over the past 2 years has been redonkulous, and we should petition for a mandate where everyone must go outside for at least 30 minutes a day because this has been a revealing moment in media culture. I feel like this will be a moment where we all look back in 5 or more years and be like, we all owe Rachel Zegler a huge apology, when the media didn't even have to tear her down in the first place. I think about the last person the world tried to cancel, and that was Blake Lively, or before that, it was Hailey Bieber. And my only question is, when will it be a man's turn? Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The same people who love to say, cancel culture is stupid, try all you want, but you can't cancel God, are now trying to do that to Rachel. Y'all are the weirdest people I've ever met, and excuse me for saying this, but I think you need professional help.
Maybe that's a weird takeaway for this video. This is a life. This is real. It's filled with a lot of beautiful moments and beautiful people. I have a loving family, an incredible boyfriend that I love so much, beautiful friends and family, people that I miss. It's a privilege to miss people the way that I do, but it's hard. And it's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay. Maybe that's a weird takeaway. Regardless, this is not supposed to be anything other than insightful entertainment. It's what I do best. Just know that I am the most grateful person alive. But I'm also keeping it real. Thanks for watching.